Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All right, so Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam. Do I start or do I wait for?
Yeah, Bismillah, you can begin, inshallah.
Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsan ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. Okay, so um, this presentation, inshallah, is going to be about the preparation for the month of Ramadan. And as we all know, the month of Ramadan is a very important month for us Muslims. And as Muslims, we always try to follow the teachings of our religion, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And all of these teachings are there to make us better people. Right? So sometimes we might enjoy the teachings, acting upon them, and sometimes we might find them a bit burdensome. But in reality, everything that we do, inshallah, is going to be beneficial for us. So I'm not sure exactly how I see it. Do I have to see the messages or?
No, so with the comments, inshallah, we'll just collect them and we'll respond to them as well. But any questions we can leave till the end, inshallah, I will send them over to you directly.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, then, so this is the virtues of fasting in Ramadan. We're going to start off with this. So we have a list of the topics, inshallah, which I'll be covering. I'll also have question and answers at the end, inshallah. So any of you guys who want to ask questions, you can ask questions. And then, inshallah, at the end, all the questions, inshallah, will be answered. So these are the topics, inshallah, we'll be covering today. So we've got topics such as the virtues of fasting, definition, intention, suhoor, recommendation. So suhoor, recommended, things to do in fasting, invalidating fasting, invalidators and non-invalidators, qada only, qada and kafara, and things to stay away from. And also I'll be talking about the ibadat that we do in the month of Ramadan as well. So first and foremostly, let's start with the virtue of fasting. So the virtue of fasting is something which is obviously, as Muslims, we all know Allah encourages us to learn about the virtues of things that we do in Islam as well. And the benefit of this is that it motivates us to do good. Many of us in life, we do things that we don't really like doing, but we only do them because of a particular virtue behind them. Like, for example, getting up in the morning and going to work 5 days a week or 6 days a week. And all of these is for us to actually understand the importance of providing for our families. Right? So we have that value in our minds. And the same goes with things in Islam as well. Right? So in Islam, Allah tells us about Jannah. Allah tells us about, palaces in paradise, buyut, and many, many other rewards that Allah has prepared for us. So fasting is something that we want to get motivated, right? So the more motivated I become, more motivated you become, we're going to be more into the fast. We're going to be encouraged to fast. We're going to look forward to it. We're going to try our best to do it in the best way possible. Otherwise, we would be the opposite then. So otherwise, we are not going to be interested in fasting. Or for example, we are possibly even going to fast, but our fast is going to be a lazy fast, right? And that lazy fast is simply ticking off the boxes. We don't want to just tick off the boxes. We want to be able to fast in a way that's pleasing to Allah. So this is why this hadith, I like this hadith. It's a long hadith, but this is just a snippet of the hadith. Yeah, there are two pleasures for the fasting person. One at the time of breaking his fast. So when you're hungry all day and all of a sudden now it's the fast time to break your fast. You feel excited, you're sitting down, maybe at the mosque or maybe with your family, and you're looking forward to eating that date or drinking that water. That feeling that you have that goes through your body, goes through your veins and through all of you, that is first pleasure that we have. And this is a worldly pleasure, which in fact is part of obeying Allah. So the obedience of Allah sometimes can have pleasure that we enjoy, things that we look forward to. And the other at the time of when he will meet his Lord. The other at the time when he will meet his Lord. This is, subhanAllah, amazing because it kind of connects the dunya with the akhirah. Right? So we can't gain the pleasure of Allah without exerting some of our effort in this dunya and sacrificing some of our pleasures of this dunya to achieve that. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us about the akhirah, we have to remember that akhirah is connected with this dunya. So the pleasure of the akhirah is according to the sacrifices we make in this dunya. So and the other at the time of when he will meet his Rabb, then he will be pleased because of his fasting. In other words, it's like, a good way to understand this is like when in life we've gone through some really difficult times. I don't know if you ever climbed a mountain, but if you ever climb a mountain, and the right way, as you're climbing it, your legs hurt and the muscles start spasming, and as you're climbing, and then when you get to the top, right at the top, you feel it was all worth it. Right? All that pain and everything now, it automatically converts into some sort of an internal pleasure that you feel that you've achieved this. And this is also a reminder in life, any difficulty that you're going through, any hardship you're going through in life, all of these things are temporary. And retrospectively, if you look at any difficulty you ever went through in life, and you look at it now, you think to yourself, subhanallah, that was like, it was like a minute, or it was like 2 minutes of discomfort, and now it's all over. Now imagine in the akhirah when Allah says to you, every hardship you went through in life and every act of obedience that you fulfilled, this is going to be something which is considered to be rewarded in akhirah. So someone is going to look back and say, Ya Allah, please send me back, Ya Allah, so I can feel this again. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions this about the shaheed. He says that the shaheed, when he stands in front of Allah, he's going to say, Ya Allah, please send me back so I can be killed again. And again, and again, and again. And in one narration, as many as the number of hairs on my body. Because he's going to enjoy that sacrifice he made for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, that in reality, that is what a Muslim tastes a small amount of in the month of Ramadan. May Allah grant us the ability to appreciate this. Anyway, so this is something to look forward to, the month of Ramadan. Now, what is the basic definition of a fast over here? Like, what do we do in Ramadan? What's exactly happening? Because if you don't understand what you're doing, then fasting in the month of Ramadan might be something which you're doing wrong. You might be actually fasting wrong. So you have to understand this. The month of Ramadan is a month in which a person, of course, is going to stay away from eating, stay away from drinking, stay away from sexual intercourse from the time of Fajr all the way till Maghrib. And he does all of this intentionally, as in he has an intention that he is going to be abstaining from all of these things, right? That's something you have to have in mind. This is why the month of Ramadan, this is something which, subhanAllah, like, if you kind of think about Ramadan is very different from all other acts of worship. And what I mean by that is that the month of Ramadan is actually a time in which a person, it's between them and Allah only. No one will know you're fasting unless obviously you've got mood swings in Ramadan. And then everyone knows, oh no, here we go. Here's Fatima, she's going to go crazy now in the month of Ramadan. Here's Zayd's going to go crazy in the month of Ramadan. Right? That's different. That's something we can't help here. But in the month of Ramadan comes, no one knows you're fasting until someone hears it. There's like a famous, not famous, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a guy and he's praying his salat. And someone next to him is talking to another guy and he's saying, subhanallah, look at this guy praying salat. Look how he's doing his ruku and look how he's doing his sujood. And as he's listening, he turns to them and says, I'm also fasting as well. Point of the story is that you have to tell people that you're fasting. Otherwise they won't know. So this is why the fasting is a powerful act of worship. This is because the fasting itself, it's purely for Allah. In fact, part of that hadith I quoted earlier on is where the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah, He rewards the actions of the children of Adam. Allah rewards their actions and He multiplies it, except for fasting, because that is something I am going to reward him myself because he did it for me. As in, you purely do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, many of us, we like food. We like munching on food throughout the day. We like drinking things. We like these kind of, this fulfilling your natural human desires, even if they're halal, this is something that we like doing. But in the month of Ramadan, Allah wants to test to see how we can preserve ourselves, maintain ourselves in this month. And the test Allah doesn't need. The test is for ourselves. It's for improving ourselves. So what's the definition of a fast then? It's staying away from eating, drinking, and sexual intercourse from Fajr all the way till Maghrib intentionally. All right. So there has to be like this intention behind it that we're doing. Okay. Now, intention is a very important thing to understand, right? So if we don't have intention, then we are going to obviously do an action in what we call autopilot mode. So if I don't have an intention, I've got these habits. Like, for example, I'll get into my car and then I'll be driving halfway down the road and I think to myself, did I lock the door? Did I put the alarm on? Yeah. So like, but I know I did it. It's just that I do things without really even thinking about them. This level of a person, this is something that we, as in Islam, we can't go into autopilot mode, right? So we can't just do things without even thinking about them. We actually have to start our actions by thinking about them, because we need to know, who are we doing it for? Am I doing it for my nafs? Am I doing it for Allah? Or am I doing it for someone else? So this is the concept of niyyah. All right. So niyyah, intention, is very, very important for that matter. So what is the intention then? So intention is basically, sorry, the intention is basically in your head. Have you planned to fast? That's all it is. Right. So as long as in your head you have planned to fast, right? If you're thinking about the fast, that's an intention. If someone asks you, what are you going to be doing tomorrow? And you said, I am going to be fasting, that is considered to be a fast. So a fast is basically you in your mind planning to do a fast. That's all it has to do. And you only have to make that plan from Maghrib. So let's say, for example, tomorrow is going to be fasting day, right? Ramadan. So it's from today, Maghrib, all the way till tomorrow, half day. Yeah. So imagine, for example, let's say Fajr, let's say Fajr is at 4 a.m. and Maghrib, Maghrib. So this is just made up, okay? But Fajr is at 4 a.m. and today's Maghrib, let's say, is at 9 p.m. And so how do we work this out then? So what we do is we take Maghrib 9 p.m. all the way till 9 a.m. in the morning. That's 12 hours, and then all the way till half day, right? So what time is half day? Half day is where you split the day into two and you have bang on half, right? So it's around about between 11 and 12 o'clock in the morning, right? 11, 12 o'clock. So for example, like if the Fajr is at 4 a.m. and Maghrib is at 9, so from 4 a.m. all the way to 9 is a total of 17 hours. So 17 hours of a fast. You split that into two, right? So what do you get? You get 12:30, right? So 12:30 days. So therefore, the window of opportunity you have to make intention is from Maghrib 9 p.m. all the way next morning and after till 12:30 now. That is the time that you have. Now, of course, this time will shift in summer and in winter. It won't be the same. But you have to remember, this is the opportunity you have. Now, what this basically means is this, is that, let's say, let me give you some scenarios. Let's say I wake up one morning, I wake up at 9 a.m. in the morning and I check my phone, and on my phone, my friend is messaging me saying, congratulations, the moon has been sighted and it's going to be the first fast. And I'm thinking, whoa, I didn't have chance to wake up for Sehri, Suhoor, and is my fast valid? Is my fast not valid? So I get my phone, I quickly text Mufti Saab, I just woken up and I've just found out that today's the first fast. Can I fast? So Mufti Saab will respond, yes, you can, because you've got until 12:30 today to make your intention of fasting. All right. So this is what we call the intention in Ramadan. Right. So you have from Maghrib all the way till next morning, midday. Okay, so this is now the intention time window, you can say, that you've got. Now, the next thing is we want to talk about the idea of suhoor, sehri, fotobala, right? Whatever in your language you call it, this is the pre-dawn snack that you have, right? Pre-dawn snack. Now, this is before Fajr. So many of us are familiar with this. You wake up in the morning, or maybe your mum wakes you up in the morning, or I don't know, your friends wake you up. You get up, you have something to eat. You have some, I don't know, dates you might have. You might eat some rice. You might eat some bread, or you might toast. I like eating porridge. So whatever you like eating, you're going to eat that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start your fast. So you're going to stop eating. And that's what the Quran mentions. The Quran mentions to us that we have to stop eating from Fajr all the way up till Maghrib. Okay, and that's basically what a fast is. Now, if you don't do the suhoor, if you did not get up for sehri, is your fast valid? Yes, your fast is valid. Why? Because the definition of fasting was what? Was not to eat, drink, or intimacy with intention from Fajr till Maghrib. So you have technically achieved that. So that's why the suhoor is actually considered to be something which is a good thing to do. It's recommended, but it's not considered to be necessary to do. All right. So you don't need to do the suhoor. So, but what we should do is we should eat, right? We should eat at suhoor time if you can, because it really gives you energy in the day, right? Otherwise, you'll be sluggish and lazy and thinking, oh, how many hours left till Maghrib, right? So you'll become very, very moody. Yeah, you become that moody Fatima or moody Zaid. You don't want to become one of those. Yeah, trust me. So have your, and the Prophet ﷺ even mentioned, even if it's a sip of water, that's it. That's enough. All you need is a little bit, right? So this is known as the sehri snack. Okay, what I want you to do now is just Google it now. Google a virtue, and what I'll do is I'll just have a quick look at the comments. Yeah, so Google it, find a narration regarding the virtue of doing suhoor, right? Find a narration regarding that. So I'll give you 30 seconds to find that, because you're on the internet, so it's not really going to be difficult, especially if you've got AI. It's going to be easier. Right, let's check out what you guys have found. Okay, mashallah, it was narrated that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, suhoor is a blessed meal, so do not omit it, even if one of you only takes a sip of water, for Allah and His angels send blessings on those who eat suhoor, subhanallah. The most excellent pre-fasting meal of a believer is dates. Make suhoor, there is barakah. Yeah, mashallah, you guys might as well do the workshop. The Prophet ﷺ said, eat suhoor, for in the suhoor there is blessing. All right, mashallah, excellent, very good. Alhamdulillah. All right, so you guys, I mean, I can tell by that you guys are very familiar with how to use the internet. So well done, Mubarak to you, all you guys. You get ijazah. So let's move on to the next one now. So this is why suhoor is a very important thing. And sometimes we think to ourselves, something might not be necessary in Islam, but there is wisdom behind doing it. And sometimes we shouldn't omit that. Now, a question for you guys. Zainab woke up at 9 a.m. in the morning, missing suhoor. Can she still fast? And the answer is yes. She can fast, right? So the question is, why can she fast though? Why can she fast? What's the answer to this? Anyone know? What's the reason why she can fast? Just in one line. No need to copy and paste. Yeah, because the intention can be made till midday, right? So intention can be made till midday. So then the fast is fine. The only thing I would say is this. If she has eaten between Fajr and between 9 a.m., she can't fast. The fast will not be counted. So she has to be careful. If she had something to eat after Fajr, then the fast will not be counted. So she had, because remember the definition is you have to stay away from eating, drinking, intimacy all the way till Maghrib. And because she hasn't, then her fast will not be considered to be valid. All right. Okay. All right. I think you guys got that. Next, let's move on to the next one now. Okay, recommended things to do now. So if let's say you're a new new to Islam, right? Or you just newly started practicing Islam. So what are the recommended things? Number one, make intention at night. It's always better to make intention at night because that's the time you want to be fully cognizant of your fast, aware of your fast, so you can take the most benefit you can from the whole day. Number two is do suhoor, right? And number three, break your fast immediately as Maghrib starts. Now, I just want to point out a little thing here. You know, when you say you break your fast at Maghrib, we mean at Maghrib, okay, not sunset. Sunset is technically defined as when the sun, so the sun is touching the horizon. So Maghrib is when the full sun has fully disappeared behind the horizon, right? So that's Maghrib. Maghrib is when the sun has fully disappeared behind the horizon, when you can't see it. That's Maghrib. That's when you break your fast. So imagine, for example, like, I don't know if you guys can see my camera or not, but imagine the sun is my hand, and as it's going down, once it touches the horizon, that's sunset. That's not Maghrib. It has to fully disappear. So do not follow on your phones when it says sunset. Don't follow that. Follow Maghrib. What you can do is the time of sunset, just count a few minutes after that, and then break your fast. Ideally, try to get a trustworthy mosque timetable that you can follow, inshallah. Okay, next. So the next thing is now find a verse of the Quran for the ruling of the nights of Ramadan. The nights of Ramadan. Yeah, so the nights. So quickly, 30 seconds. Find a verse of the Quran which talks about the nights of Ramadan. Let's see if you guys can work this out. Are you guys Generation Z, or is it, I don't know, Generation X, or the new one is? Laylatul Qadr, very good. Laylatul Qadr is a verse related to the nights of Ramadan. Any other verse? Laylatul Qadr, blessed night, very good. Anything else? Let's take one more. No. So let them fast. Very good. Anyway, so the verse I was looking for in the night of Ramadan is where Allah mentions in Surah Baqarah, in the verse of fasting, He says, "Uhilla lakum laylat al-siyam." The nights of Ramadan, it's halal for you to do all of those things, right? So you're allowed to have intimacy with your spouse. You're allowed to eat. Kulu washrabu. Allah says, eat and drink until the white line becomes clear from the black line. All right. So the white line becoming clear from the black line. What does that exactly mean? So there was a Sahabi, and this Sahabi, he heard this verse, and he, without asking the Prophet ﷺ what it means, he tried to understand it himself. So he got a white thread, and he got a black thread, and he put it next to his pillow, and he kept looking at it, kept getting up, looking. Has the white thread become clear from the black thread? The sun rose, and it still wasn't clear. So he comes to the Prophet ﷺ, and he says to him, "O Messenger of Allah, I tried to act upon what the Quran says, because the Quran, like, literally says that until hatta yatabayyan lakum al-khayt al-abyad min al-khayt al-aswad, when the white thread becomes clear from the black thread. And I've tried it, I've waited until sunrise, and I can still see no difference between the two threads." The Prophet ﷺ began to smile and said that the verse is referring to the horizon, not your pillow. So the interesting thing about this is how the Sahaba tried to act upon the Quran, as much as they could. Right? This is the beauty of when we study Islam. We understand those people out there who are trying to act upon Islam as best as they can, even if they make mistakes. This is something which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the effort they're making. So this, now, before we actually go into, we need to understand those things that actually invalidate your fast, right? So now we've understood the concept of the fast, what a fast is. So we got one definition. And now we need to understand invalidating things that invalidate your fast. All right. So the ruling for the invalidating of fast is basically this: anything with a perceptible body reaching the stomach or reaching the inside of the body or the brain through the nose, mouth, or through the rectum. right? So these are the three orifices, your mouth, your nose, the rectum. If something goes in there, down there, or you have, let's say, a gash in your head, like a big wound in your head, and you apply medicine inside of that, all right? Or you have a big, wound in your stomach or something, your fast will break. Simple as that, all right? So once you understood this definition, a lot of things will now become clear to you, right? So let me explain this definition in an easier way with example. Let's say, for example, I take a paracetamol and I put a paracetamol in my mouth and I swallow it. Has my fast broken? Yes. Why? Because the paracetamol entered through one of the three orifices, the mouth, and it's gone down into my throat and therefore stomach, and so my fast is broken. Similarly, if I was to put water in my nose doing wudu and I sniffed it, inhaled, and the water went in the back of my nose and it went down my throat, my fast breaks. And similarly, if a person has medication that's applied in the rectum, that will also break their fast. All right. So these are the three ways in which the fast will break. Now, if you put anything in your eyes, even if you can have some aftertaste in your mouth, your fast does not break. Yeah. And likewise, when it comes to putting eardrops in your ears, it does not break your fast. Right. So that, and also injections in the muscle. So if you have injections in your muscle, then that will not break your fast. Similarly, if you put oil on your skin, rub oil on your skin and it absorbs into the skin, or if you have some patches like nicotine patches or CBD patches, or I don't know, contraception patches, these patches will not break your fast. Even though it's been absorbed into your skin, into your blood, it will not break your fast. Right. So as for intravenous injections, right, so if someone has an injection in the veins, then that is something where the scholars say that potentially breaks your fast. Right. So if you have an injection of something which is nourishing your body, anything that's medicinal or nourishing your body will break your fast. If it's not, then it won't break your fast in the veins. Yeah. So for example, some people have CT scans and they have to have a dye injected into their veins. So that individual will not have, their fast will not break, right? So because it's not nourishing for their body, it's just there for the scan to be detected. And things like, for example, insulin injections that's in the muscle, that will not break your fast. The only thing I would say is this: speak to your doctor about this, right? Because I can give you advice from technical Islamic issues, but there might be some more details that maybe are not being presented to me and might affect a person's health case by case. And that's why the doctor can help there. There might be someone who, for example, maybe they take injections, insulin injections, and their fast doesn't break, right? But that person might have to also, with those injections, have to eat something as well, right? So it can be one of those kind of situations where I would advise people to speak to their Muslim doctors and also get maybe a scholar involved as well. Okay, now, so the question now here comes is like, then, all right, how do we understand things like some sort of a checkup? Let's say a woman has a checkup in the vagina and the doctor has to insert something inside of it. Does that break the fast? So the Hanafis, let me explain something. The early Hanafis had a view that this would break the fast because they believed that there was a passage between the vagina and between the stomach, that it would actually go to and nourish the body. But later on, they realized that this isn't the case. So this is why nowadays we know through modern medicine that this isn't the case. So if a woman does have a check, or she has something inserted into the vagina, then that will not necessarily break the fast. And as for asthma inhalers, because they actually go down the throat, and there is a very good chance that things are going to, particles or bits are going to go into the stomach, then that will break the fast. Yeah, so that is something, asthma inhalers. Now, what I would say is this: if someone does have to take an asthma inhaler in Ramadan, no problem. Allah in the Quran has already told us that the ill people, if they find it difficult to fast and they have to continuously break their fast, they don't have to fast and they can make up their fast after Ramadan. Right, so this is something which, inshallah, in the questions at the end, this is something that I'll be answering as well. But just let's go back to this then. So anything with a perceptible body. So therefore, let's say, for example, it's air. Air doesn't break your fast because air does not really have perceptible bodies. But something like smoke will. So if a person inhales smoke, like someone who smokes a cigarette or vapor. So someone inhales a vapor, that person will break their fast. This is if it's done intentionally. Now imagine there's a person and this person is doing a barbecue. And obviously when you light a barbecue, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but lots of smoke, it produces lots of smoke initially. And your face is there blowing the fire, trying to make it spread. And that is obviously smoke, but that does not break your fast because you're not doing it to inhale the smoke. That's like, like passive, right? This is passive, this is. So therefore, this would be considered to be something that does not break your fast. Likewise, if there's a person in the kitchen and that person is cooking and there's lots of steam, then the steam would not break their fast because they're not there to inhale it primarily. They're there to cook, and that's just like a byproduct of it, and that's not really their intention to do. So that's why I was saying, once you understand the definition of what it means to break a fast, then it's something which becomes clear. Okay, so right, I can't think of anything else that would okay, my children are asthmatic, both keep fast. If they need inhaler, they take it. Otherwise, yeah, that's fine. If they take it, their fast will break. Don't small amounts of eye drops? No. So the classical Hanafis, they believed that there was a passage between the ear and between the stomach. And then they gave the fatwa, because it's not in the Quran, it's not in the Hadith, but it was based on their own understanding, ijtihad, of the science of those days, that if a person puts oil drops in their ears, it actually breaks the fast. But later scholars have actually found out through modern medicine that there is no passage between the ears and between the stomach. There's an eardrum. So that's why the fast does not break. Okay, I think everything else. Now, when it comes to the issue of, obviously, when a person brushes their teeth. So brushing their teeth is, are you allowed to brush your teeth? So you're allowed to brush your teeth. You're allowed to use miswak. The only question is what if you brush your teeth with toothpaste? What about toothpaste then? Is toothpaste considered to be something that will break your fast? So the issue here is this, remember, the definition of breaking the fast is if it goes down. If it goes down, it will break your fast. If it doesn't go down, it doesn't break your fast. So if you can brush your teeth with a little bit of toothpaste without it going down, you can wash your mouth out, then your fast is fine. Now, let's say there's a person who actually says that, you know what, I'm unsure. I don't know if I'll be able to control myself. I don't know this, if I'm able to brush my teeth. Then don't brush your teeth. Let everyone smell your breath. Yeah. So don't brush your teeth. Use a miswak, use a dry toothbrush, right? That should be fine with you, inshallah. But the point that I want to make is that there is permissibility to brush your teeth with a toothpaste so long as you don't swallow. Because if you swallow it, your fast will break, right? You will break your fast. That's why the scholars call it makruh. The reason say makruh, it's heavily disliked because of those people out there who, who do gymnastics when they're brushing their teeth. Those are the kind of ones that they're calling it makruh for. Okay, I think I've answered all of those kind of questions. Right. So anyway, questions at the end, inshallah, will come as well. So I'll be going back to that. Next. So now the invalidators of your fast now. Invalidators of your fast. What are the things that will invalidate your fast? So I've made this nice diagram here, as you can see. So ate, drank, or intercourse, right? So you either did it intentionally or it was done accidentally or forgetfully, right? So there's three. I don't know why the lines haven't appeared on this. For some reason, I can't seem to see. There's supposed to be some lines on this, but so it's supposed to be like this is connected there, and this is connected there, and this is connected there. So intention, accident. So forgetful. Now look, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said to him, "O Messenger of Allah, I forgetfully, I forgot it was Ramadan. I forgot I was fasting and I ate. Is my fast okay?" He said, "Yes, your fast is fine because Allah fed you." Meaning, forgetfulness is something beyond human ability. Humans can't stop forgetting, right? I forget all the time, and I'm sure you forget as well. So Allah in the Quran, He says He doesn't burden a person in laws of Allah more than they can bear. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So what that basically means is that because humans are prone to forgetting, Allah has now uplifted the sin from that. Right, the sin won't be there. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that in fasting, if a person was to eat and they forgot they were fasting, their fast has not broken, even though something has gone down your throat, and even though maybe you filled your stomach, your fast is still fine. Now, this is only for fasting, okay? This is only for fasting, for nothing else. Accidentally, if you break your fast, then your fast will break. So that's why if you were brushing your teeth and accidentally a bit of toothpaste went down your throat, your fast breaks. Or for example, like you were washing your mouth out with water in wudu and a bit of water went down your throat, your wudu would break. And, I don't know, anything else that you can think of. Accidentally basically means you know you're fasting, but just accidentally you went down. Intentionally. So intentionally is the issue over here. If you intentionally put something in your mouth or your nose or the rectum, either it's you've done it as a full offense. Full offense basically means you've done it without any excuse. That's called a full offense. So let's say I got a sweet chocolate and I put it in my mouth and I ate it, swallowed it. I've committed an offense against Allah's law, a full offense. There's like no way to kind of excuse me on that one. I just did it. And likewise, if I sipped water or anything like that. So if a full offense is committed, your fast breaks. So you have to make up one fast and you have to give kafara. Kafara is an expiation, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Right? So kafara we'll talk about in a bit. It's like this kind of penalty that you have to pay for deliberately breaking that fast because you committed a full offense. Now, if you did not commit a full offense, right? So it's not a full offense where, for example, I don't know, let's say you're really dizzy, feeling extremely dizzy, and you're about to faint, and then the only thing that's really going to help you is a sip of water, and you took it. So you deliberately, intentionally, you've taken something, but you had a reason for it. In this case, your fast will break because remember the definition of invalidating your fast is anything that goes down. So your fast will break, but you will not have to do kafara. So you don't have to give the penalty because you didn't do it in a way that was offensive to the law, right? So you had a reason. So anything that is done intentionally, but it's not done as a full offense. Like for another example would be, let's say, I don't know, you had a piece of paper in your mouth and you were chewing it and you swallowed it. Now, because paper is not something normally people eat, therefore it comes under a deficient offense, meaning it's not a full offense. Okay, so you haven't committed a full offense over here, right? And this is the important thing to understand. This is where people make a big confusion or misconception they have about this. They can't tell the difference between a full offense and a non-full offense. A full offense is where you have consumed something that is nutritious to your body or that's medicinal intentionally without any excuse. That's what in full offense means, right? So you've taken something nutritious, medicinal, and intentionally without any excuse. And if there's some excuse there, or the thing is not really nutritious, or it's not really medicinal in any way, then that will break your fast because something has gone down, but you will not have to give kafara. Okay, accidental one, like I said to you, you only have to make up one fast. And forgetful, nothing. So just to summarize all of this then. So if a person was to eat and if a person was to drink and a person was to have intercourse, they either did it deliberately, intentionally, or accidentally, or forgetfully. So if they done it forgetfully, their fast will not break. Their fast is fine, then carry on. But if they did it accidentally, then they have to make up that fast again, it's broken. And if they done it deliberately, then you look, did you do it as a full offense? Meaning, was it something that was nutritious or medicinal and it was done intentionally without an excuse? Then your fast is broken. You have to make up one fast, qada, and you have to give kafara, expiation. Right? Khalas. I think this diagram nicely summarizes all of this, inshallah. Okay. Next one now. Now, the fast, the qada only. Remember the scenario that I showed you over here, where I said this pink one, the one fast and one fast, right? So I want to explain this. So these are a list of things that will actually break your fast, but there will be no kafara. Yeah, so your fast breaks, but there is no kafara there. Number one, eating and drinking anything accidentally, like we said. Number two, thinking it's Maghrib and then accidentally eating something and it's not really Maghrib time. Yeah, so for example, like let's say for instance, I don't know, it's almost Maghrib time and I check my watch and I think, oh, look at this, it's Maghrib time. So I start eating and then I realize there's 5 minutes left till Ramadan. So what have I done? I've eaten something. And this eating something has been done intentionally, but it's not a full offense because I had an excuse there. That excuse was that I actually made an error here. So thinking that it's Maghrib will be something that will break your fast, but you only have to make up one fast because you didn't commit a full offense. Thinking Fajr hasn't started yet and you carry on eating. So you're eating your sehri, you're eating your futubala, and you're carrying on eating, and then all of a sudden, you look at the time and Fajr actually started 10 minutes ago. Now, oh no, what have I done? So you've intentionally broken your fast. Yeah. So according to this diagram, intentionally broken your fast. It was not a full offense because you didn't know. So you didn't really do it deliberately. You didn't know. So you have to make up one fast. Thinking the fast broke due to forgetfulness and then carry on eating. So let's say, for example, remember in the last one we said if a person forgetful eats, so he forgets that it's Ramadan and then he goes and he eats. There's nothing upon him. His fast is totally fine, right? But what happens is that now he thinks to himself, oh no, my fast is broken. So he goes and now starts eating. Now, because he now goes and starts eating because of that, he has to make a qadha, but there's no kafara because intentional. So he's intentionally ate. And it's not a full offense because he actually has a valid reason because he actually thought the eating has broken his fast. He wasn't aware of that hadith. So he only has to make up one fast. Okay. And swallowing items, people don't normally eat. And I don't know how. I mean, in the books of fiqh, they mentioned this. I don't know, in some villages, there were the women who used to eat this soil. There was there's a type of soil out there which apparently some women used to like eating and used to chew it and eat it. Right. And I was thinking, what kind of soil can this be? It can't be naswar. If you know what naswar is, it can't be naswar. Like what? So apparently there are some places where they actually eat some strange things. They'll chew on a twig or something, or they'll, I don't know, have something else in their mouth that they'll chew on. So if someone eats something that's normally not eaten, like a person eats a pebble or a coin, a 1p coin, someone's got it in their mouth and they eat that, or a twig in their mouth, like or a toothpick or a matchstick, and they're chewing that and they swallow it. Because intentionally something has gone down their throat, it's not a full offense because it's not something normally that is eaten. So what happens is the fast breaks, all right? And there's no kafara on that. There's no penalty on that. Water going down the throat whilst gargling. So you're doing your wudu, you're gargling, and you swallow it, all right? So accidentally because you didn't intend it. Again, it wasn't your fault because, like we said, it's intentional. It's not a full offense, and therefore there's only one fast to make up. Inhaling medicine or smoke deliberately, right? Inhaling medicine and smoke deliberately. So if one inhales medicine, right? So like, asthma inhaler, or smoke deliberately, like someone inhales smoke, like a cigarette or something, the fast will break. Now, although there is a difference of opinion among scholars on this, whether kafara is necessary, I would say there's no kafara, right? Because it's not really kind of something which nourishes your body or taken medicinally. But the fast does break. Now, subhanallah, nowadays, I mean, there's the gas, I don't know, the gas that youngsters are inhaling. May Allah protect us all from that. So if a person was to take this gas, because it's gas and there's no perceptible particles in there, it won't break the fast per se. Obviously, taking it is not allowed. But just if person does inhale that, it won't necessarily break the fast per se, because the gas itself does not have perceptible particles. It's just air. That's all it is. It's just air that's inhaled. right? So like I said to you, perceptible particles is very important to understand. Okay, if if a raindrop falls in your mouth without your intention or anything like that, then your fast will break, but there's no kafara. Yeah, so if you left your mouth open like that and accidentally a drop went down your throat. And masturbation. So masturbation obviously is something which is prohibited, and this would actually be something which would break your fast, right? So this would break the fast if a person did it, but because it's not a full offense, remember, it's not a full offense as in it's not intercourse in the right place, right? So it has to be intercourse in the right place would be the vagina, right? So vaginal intercourse. And the scholars have also said that if a person, na'udhu billah, did rectal intercourse, that would also break the fast as well, and it would cause kafara as well, right? Otherwise, any other form of sexual gratification would break the fast if a person orgasmed, but there would be no kafara. So it's only one broken fast. So I think this kind of like nicely clarifies now this concept. It makes it clear in the mind. Now, remember, as Muslims, we always have to understand we follow Allah and we follow His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? We should not be, we should not try to figure out Islam according to our own understanding. And we should always ask scholars who we trust, right? My advice would be do not trust anyone online who you have not met or who you have not, who you are not familiar with, or who is not someone who others have verified. Because nowadays you get lots of people online who are giving fatwas, who talk about Ramadan and they talk about things, and you don't know where they get the information from. Maybe they tell you 99 truths and one lie or one mistake, and that would be detrimental to your following Islam. So it's very important as Muslims that we always follow. This is why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Innama shifa'ul ayyi as-su'al." The cure for not knowing is that you ask, and ask those people, ahl al-dhikr, ask the people who know, understanding. So qada is done now. Okay. Qada and kafara. So qada and kafara. So in those situations I told you, when the fast has been broken because of something which is deliberate, yeah, something that has been deliberately, intentionally, it's done with a full offense, this is something that will break. So breaking a fast deliberately without a valid excuse is something that normally nourishes the body, or it's medicinal, or it's penetration into the rectum. This is obviously, we're not talking about sexual intercourse here. We're talking about just generally some sort of a medicine that's applied in that area. All of this is counted as being a full offense. This is, and remember, you have to remember, you're a son and a daughter of Adam alayhi salam, and the son and daughter of Adam alayhi salam, we have natural desires for things. We have natural. So in the month of Ramadan, the son of Adam is the one, like the hadith mentions, is the one who controls his desire. Like Allah says in the hadith Qudsi, he is the one that controls his desire for my sake. So remember, you have to control your desire. You might have a lot of craving for something, right? Whether it's a halal craving or a haram craving, but your control of that craving is what makes you who you are in the sight of Allah. It's that control. Yeah. Allah, like in the Quran, Allah says, "Nahan nafsa anil hawa." The person who prohibits themselves, puts a leash on themselves, a control on themselves from following their desires. That's what we're trying to aim for. And the month of Ramadan, this is extremely important for a person to actually do this in the month of Ramadan. Yeah, in the month of Ramadan, you want to be a person who shows Allah that you have this ability to tame your desire. You can stop following your desires. You can't get rid of your desires. We're all going to have desires inside of ourselves. It's about trying to put limits on there. And this is why it's very interesting. In the month of Ramadan, you realize how less you need to eat. Subhanallah, you realize that the amount that I normally eat, I can live off a fraction of that every single day. And my body works pretty much at optimum level. So a person body, is amana from Allah, trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. when the month of Ramadan comes and when the month of Ramadan goes, you don't want to be that person who did not benefit from the month of Ramadan. Like the Prophet ﷺ, he once said, woe be to that, cursed be that person who the month of Ramadan comes and the month of Ramadan goes, and that person has not gained the forgiveness from Allah. May Allah save us from that. So imagine your 1 month of Ramadan, entire month goes, and you have not gained Allah's forgiveness. We don't want that. Yeah. And at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ said, there are so many fasting people who gain nothing from their fast besides hunger and thirst. Those are the people who make their fast not for the sake of Allah. Right? And we want to save ourselves from all of these things. We want to be on the balanced path. We want to be the person who doesn't go in this extreme and that extreme. So if we do break a fast, then we want to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've committed an offense. We've committed something that's sinful. We want to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we want to redeem ourselves. Yeah. So redeeming yourself, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness is something which is extremely important for all of us. Okay. So this is the kafara. So kafara is this penalty now. So what exactly is the penalty that you have to give?
So just one moment, sorry. If you could try resharing your screen. It's gone blank.
It's disappeared. On my one, it says you're sharing it.
If it may have to do it again, stop share and share it again.
Okay.
So.
Okay, stop share. Okay, share. Yeah, is it better?
Yes, it's there now. Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so what is the kafara now? We want to know this penalty. We have to give this penalty. Now, the penalty, remember, is very severe, because the reason why we have penalties in life is to deter people from actually doing that thing again. Because there might be someone who thinks, oh, you know what, I'll break my fast. I'm just going to have to make up one fast again. But this penalty is so severe, it makes you really, even the biggest Maulana will actually think twice about breaking his fast, because he doesn't want to end up having to do this penalty. So this is called a kafara. Kafara basically means an expiation, something that redeems yourself, something that kafara. Kafara is also the word used for kufr, disbelief, but it's also used for the word for redeeming yourself as well. It's one of those like interesting words in the Arabic language. So this is what we call a kafara. Now in the kafara, what do you have to do? So first of all, you have to fast for 60 days consecutively for breaking the fast without interruption in between. Right? So imagine 60 days non-stop, right? 2 months non-stop fast you have to do without an interruption in between. The only exemption that's actually made is for menstruating women. So menstruating women can't help, but they will have to stop fasting, because the rule for a menstruating woman is menstruating women are not allowed to fast. They must make those days up after the month of Ramadan. So if you're a woman and let's say you menstruate, or you have postnatal bleeding, you've had a child and you're bleeding for several weeks, all those weeks and all those days you are not allowed to fast in the month of Ramadan, right? But you have to make up the month of Ramadan, those fasts of Ramadan after Ramadan. Okay, so if you break a fast in Ramadan deliberately, meaning necessitating kafara, you will now have to make up the that one day you have to make up by fasting 60 days. So you have to make up that one day anyway. So one day for one day. So that's the one qada. And then the penalty is 60 separate days. So that would mean 60 days plus that one day. That one day would be a substitute for that missing that day, the qada. And this 60 is for the penalty, committing the penalty or performing the penalty. So the fasting of 60 consists, and you can't have a break. If you have a break in between, like you miss one day, even if you got ill and you missed one day, you have to restart the 60 days all over again. So that's why it's very, very serious. Really think about, this issue over here, I would say. If you have done it in the past, if it's something that in the past that you have done, then what the scholars say is one kafara would suffice that. Yeah, one kafara. So 160 days would suffice the past ones, even if it's more than one. Right, one would suffice for that. But if a person does it, obviously they should think twice, because this is really serious. This is. And if you can't do that for medical reasons, you are unable to fast. Like your body can't take it. You cannot fast for 60 days straight. then only if medically you cannot fast 60 days, you are allowed to do option number 2, which is to feed 60 poor people. Yeah. So you feed 60 poor people. So what does it mean you feed 60 poor people? So you have 2 options here. You either give 60 poor people, 60 poor people, you give them one food parcel, so 61 food parcel, or you feed them 2 meals. So here I've written the 2 meals one. So the 2 meals one is basically where you invite them down to your house or something, you have a big dinner, you invite 60 people, they eat as much as they like, and then you have to do another meal, right? So 60 people, you've got to allow them to eat 2 meals. That's one option. The other option is where you package the food and you give the food to them. And that food has to equal to the amount that you give in Sadaqat al-Fitr. Sadaqat al-Fitr. So Sadaqat al-Fitr is basically, the amount that's given in, Eid, the time of Eid. So this is the feeding 60 poor people 2 meals for 60 days. Okay, so this is now the kafara now. So now I've got a question for you guys. So Khalid travels to Manchester for work from Birmingham, right? So Khalid, he travels from Manchester and he goes to Manchester from Birmingham. So he lives in Birmingham. Manchester is about 90 miles away, which is more than the distance of a journey. And if you guys are not familiar, if you go on a journey, you don't have to fast Ramadan, right? So as long as you're on a journey, you do not have to fast Ramadan. However, ideally, you should fast. If you can, try your best to fast. This is because in the Quran, Allah says 2 people are exempt from fasting: the ill person and the travelers. And they both have to make up the number of days they've missed. They have to make them up after Ramadan. All right. So if you're on a travel, you're a traveler, you go on a journey, you technically don't have to fast. So the question is, does he have to fast? And the answer is not if he started the journey before Fajr. This is an important point. You're only considered a traveler in regards to fasting if you started your journey before Fajr, right? So if you start your journey before Fajr, then you don't have to fast that day. But if you started your journey after Fajr, then you must fast that day. Yeah. So not if he started the journey before Fajr, but should fast if he can. Right. So a person should try their best to fast because the Quran says, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. For you to fast is actually considered to be better for you. All right. So this is why it's very important for us to think about this. Like if I travel to Manchester, is it really that burdensome that I can't fast? If it is, then fine, don't fast. But if it's something that you actually can do, you don't want to deprive yourself of the benefit of Ramadan. Sometimes there's a fatwa, sometimes there's like this ruling, right, that the scholars might give you. But sometimes you might not want to take that dispensation, that discount ruling, right, because you're going to miss out on the benefits. So what I would say is you look at these kind of masail. When it comes to a person who's medically harmed by fasting, so medically, if they were to fast, then from a medical point of view, it actually would harm them, then they should not fast at all. Right? They should not fast at all because they're harming their body there. But the traveler generally, he usually is able to fast. So I would say that he should try to fast as best as he can. But if he didn't, then there is no sin upon him at all. Now, what kind of things should you stay away from doing? I made this list of things you should stay away from. What kind of things should you stay away from? Chewing rubber, plastic. Just in Ramadan, please, for God's sake, do not chew rubber. And do not chew plastic. Or some people, they chew their hair. Or some guys chew their beard. Don't do any of that, please. Cut it out in Ramadan. Number 2, gargling water. Do not gargle water in Ramadan, even if it's a bath, like a fard ghusl, a bath that you have to take. Do not gargle water. Do not use vulgar language in Ramadan. All these things, vulgar language, it deprives a person of that spiritual connection with Allah, right? B word and F word and this and that. All these things a person might be so used to saying, they don't even realize it. And slowly the angels distance themselves from this person, and slowly the person becomes more and more deprived of the barakah of Ramadan. Right? So a person should control their mouth. The Prophet ﷺ even said that if a person is going to get into a fight, he should say to the other person, I'm fasting, meaning, please leave me alone, I'm fasting. just so that it does not cause that person to say things which he later regrets or do things that he later regrets. Backbiting is always sinful, it's haram. You're not allowed to backbite. And in Ramadan, it's even worse. Yeah, the Prophet ﷺ, he has mentioned about people who backbite. The Quran, in fact, mentions it's like eating the flesh of your brother. So, because backbiting is resembled to eating, and in Ramadan you're supposed to stay away from eating, this is why the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned about backbiting as being really severe. Otherwise, lying in Ramadan is really bad. It's even worse in Ramadan because Ramadan is a time that you're supposed to be more conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, how many times has it happened where a person realizes, oh my God, I didn't realize how much I backbite. What I would suggest is this: a lot of people backbite on WhatsApp groups they have. If you are tempted and you feel, you know what, I won't be able to control myself, delete your WhatsApp. Take yourself off that group. Just ask the people, look, I'll come back after Ramadan. Cut down as many groups as you can where you engage a lot. Cut them down in Ramadan. And only go on WhatsApp or whatever if you really know you can control yourself. Because that is also part of Ramadan as well. Being able to control yourself, your tongue, your ears, your eyes, all of these things are things that Allah will question you about on the day of Qiyamah. May Allah protect us. And do not complain of hunger. Like one is, for example, like a person says, how's your fast? And you say, oh, you know what, I'm so hungry. But don't complain about it. Don't make it a point, right? That like it's like saying, why does Islam make us fast for? Like don't be at that level of being one of those individuals that complains about rulings, where it kind of makes everyone else feel like, oh, look at this person, he's going to come, he's going to complain about his fast. And they don't like you having them in their gatherings as well. So remember, this is a rule of Allah. You're not going to like all of Allah's laws. Remember that. Allah in the Quran says, maybe you dislike something, but it's good for you. So you're not going to like all the laws of Islam, but there's a difference between internally not liking getting up for Fajr in the morning and doing wudu with cold water, and between making a fuss about it, right? Complaining about it. That's the difference, guys. So the same with goes with the month of Ramadan. Okay, question for you guys. I broke my fast deliberately last Ramadan 5 times. Do I have to give 5 kafaras? Do I have to give 5? So what was our answer? We said, no, you don't have to, right? So a person does not have to give multiple kafaras. 1 kafara per Ramadan. That's the rule, really. So the number of fasts you've broken in 1 Ramadan, 1 kafara would suffice for all of them, right? So you wouldn't have to do 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. You wouldn't have to do that. Okay, now these are the kind of laws of I just want to mention this one thing. The month of Ramadan is a month in which, imagine someone, for example, gave you the keys to a massive warehouse, and this massive warehouse was filled to the top with 50-pound notes, and they gave you a big trolley, and they said to you, you have 30 minutes, right, to fill as much of the notes as you can in this trolley, right? So it's a big, massive trolley. So now you're going there, you're taking notes and you're filling it, you're putting in your clothes and you're trying to fill it. Now imagine in this month, imagine this happened. You just start staring at the money, or you sat back and you start texting your friend on your phone, or you just start watching a movie, or you just started doing, I don't know, something else. 1 minute's gone by. That's 1 day of Ramadan gone by. 2 minutes have gone by. 2 days of Ramadan have gone by. 3 minutes have gone by. 3 days of Ramadan have gone by. And by the time you know it, last minute, you're thinking, oh my God, I've only got 3 or 4 minutes left. Let me try to. This is unfortunately what can happen to many of us. The month of Ramadan has so many beneficial acts of worship that we can do to gain closeness to Allah. For example, Taraweeh. Taraweeh is, we don't get this all year round, and all of a sudden in Ramadan, we get Taraweeh. Taraweeh is so amazing. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever stands in the month of Ramadan, believing that he's getting reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah will forgive all of his sins. Now imagine that. Just by standing behind the Imam in Ramadan, you get all of these sins removed from you. That's the power of Taraweeh. Taraweeh is something that we should not take lightly. Taraweeh is a very powerful way of giving you the spiritual boost for the entire year, right? It connects you. You listen to the Quran, even if you don't understand the Quran. you still feel this benefit of Taraweeh. What I would suggest is try to read a translation of Quran before you go for Taraweeh, so that you know what the Imam's reading, or at least some summary. You can find online on social media many scholars who have actually summarized each chapter, and you can follow those summarizations, and then you can go into the Taraweeh with this nice feeling as well, and benefit from the Taraweeh. So Taraweeh is very important. Night prayer is also very important. So one is Taraweeh, and then one is Tahajjud as well. So try to pray a few rakats of Tahajjud at suhoor time, sahri time. Read as much Quran as you can in the month of Ramadan. This is, I mean, subhanAllah, many of us, we know that every letter of the Quran is multiplied so many fold, yeah, 10 times each letter. So one letter is 10, two letters are 10, 20, and three letters 30. Yet still we are deprived of reading Quran outside of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, when the month of Ramadan comes, Allah, the shayateen are shackled, the doors of Jannah are opened, and Jahannam is closed, and every single night Allah subhanahu frees people from the fire of Jahannam. All of these narrations that I've mentioned, all of these indicate Allah wants to make it easier for you to get closer to Him. Imagine a person does not have someone whispering in his ear telling him to do bad, right? This is going to encourage them to do good. So in the month of Ramadan, shaitan is limited to how much he can influence us. But if we have bad habits from before Ramadan, not reading Quran before Ramadan, not doing tasbih, dhikr before Ramadan, not getting up and praying nawafil before Ramadan, it's going to be very hard to start doing these in Ramadan. So I would suggest is from now, slowly get yourself used to it, right? So that you become acclimatized to it. And reading Quran, honestly, subhanAllah, this platform, Quranic Insights, is an opportunity for us to actually become connected with Allah. The Quran is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is nothing on earth which comes anywhere close to Allah's words, because Allah's words is superior to all kalam, all speech. So if Allah's Prophet cried when he read these words, if he memorized them, and the Sahaba cried when they read these words and they memorized them, and then so many scholars historically and so many men and so many women have been dedicating their lives every day to reading portions of the Quran, this is something we should think about. There was recently a janazah I went to of an elderly man, 76 years old. He actually started memorizing the Quran 10 years ago. So imagine that, 10 years, and he only had one juz left to memorize. And he was going to finish his hifz in April in the Haramain. So they booked tickets to go Umrah, and he's 76 years old, and his children were going to go with him, and he was going to memorize the last juz of the Quran, finish off the last section, and do his khatam there. Allah had ordained for him, for his life to be taken by Malak al-Maut, and that's it. But you imagine at 76 years old, what motivation do you have to have in the last moments of your life that Allah wants from you to memorize His words? He must have done something. Maybe someone made a dua for him. My point is that this should be something we need to think about. When the month of Ramadan comes, Allah is closing the doors of Jahannam. He's opening the doors of Ramadan, of Jannah, sorry. He's locking up the shayateen. All of these are to make you more inspired to do good. And if you do it, alhamdulillah. And if you don't, then Allah has more people in the world who will obey Him. May Allah make us of the obedient people. Anyway, so what things do not break your fast? These are non-invalidating. It's like a summary of what we've done now, yeah? So forgetfully eating, right? So forgetful eating does not break drinking, intercourse. Swallowing one's own saliva and mucus does not break your fast. Even the snot doesn't break your fast. Unless, obviously, you put it into a cup. Yeah, no, I don't want to say this, but you put it into a cup, mashallah, and you knock it back. That will break your fast. Inhaling dust or smoke unintentionally, right? That won't break your fast because it's unintentional. Starting the fast in the state of major ritual impurity. So let's say husband and wife have had sexual intercourse and they're thinking, do we have to take a bath before Fajr starts, or can we take a bath after Fajr starts? You can take a bath after Fajr starts, right? So you don't have to take a bath before Fajr. Injections into the muscle, blood transfusions, and cupping do not break your fast. Cleaning one's teeth does not break your fast. Swimming in a swimming pool does not break your fast unless you swallow water accidentally. That will break your fast, but you'll only have to make up one kafara. Nicotine patches, right, do not break your fast. Tasting food without swallowing, this is an interesting one. So let's say you're a chef or you're a mother and you're cooking for your children and you don't want to make sure there's not too much spice in there or something because it might harm them. You're allowed to put the food in your mouth, swish it around, and then spit it out and wash your mouth out. That's called tasting without swallowing. If you taste with swallowing, your fast breaks. Okay, so that would break your fast. Lighting brushing. Oh, this is a mistake. I was going to say, what is lighting brushing? Sounds like something on TikTok. Lightly brushing with toothpaste without swallowing. Yeah. So lightly brushing with toothpaste without swallowing. So what that basically means, like I told you earlier on, if you want to use toothpaste, a little bit of toothpaste on there, brush your teeth lightly with the toothpaste, and then wash your mouth out. Aftertaste does not break your fast, okay? Or residue water in your mouth does not break your fast. So if you've done your wudu and you have obviously wet water droplets on your tongue and the inner surface of your mouth, don't get a towel, please. Do not do this silly thing. Don't get a towel and shove it down your mouth to dry your whole throat. I know some people out there might be thinking about that, but please don't do it. Yeah. For God's sake, don't do it. So those are forgiven, those are, right? So those kind of, the wetness is forgiven. And frequently asked questions now. So does vomit break fast? Right? So this is I didn't make a slide for this because it's obvious, because fasting is when something, breaking fast is when something goes in your body. So therefore vomit should not break because vomit is something coming out. But there's one scenario in vomit that will actually break your fast. This is because the Prophet ﷺ said, one who deliberately gags themselves to vomit and vomits a mouthful breaks his fast. Right? So that's the only one scenario where we say that the fast actually breaks. Otherwise, all other vomit does not break your fast. Does a wet dream break your fast? What's the answer? No, it doesn't, right? Because it's not something in your control. You didn't touch your private parts in any way. There was no, sexual sort of thing that you were in control of. Does bleeding gums break fast? So bleeding gums does not break your fast unless you bleed a lot and you can clearly taste the blood that's going down your throat, right? Then I would say that would break your fast. But then even then, if your fast breaks, you don't have to give kafara, right? Because it's not normally something that is consumed. Do eye drops break fast? We said no, because there's only 3 orifices, the mouth, the nose, and the rectum. Asthma inhalers, they do break your fast. Deodorants, now the issue with deodorants, if you spray the deodorant to inhale it, I don't know if you've got some crazy craving for that, then that will break your fast. But if you just spray it and accidentally, as you're walking, you feel the spray actually go into your mouth and nose, that doesn't break your fast. Smoking, deliberately, yes, breaks your fast. Injections, like we said, if it's in the muscle, doesn't. If it's in the veins, then if it's nutritional for your body or medicinal, then it would. Can a woman fast if her menstruation stops right after Fajr? Okay, this is for the women out there. So sometimes what might happen is your menstruation stops 1 minute after Fajr starts. Are you allowed to fast that day? No. You are not allowed to fast even if there's 1 minute of menstruation. The menstruation has to stop before Fajr. Right? It has to stop before Fajr. Okay, so you have to remember that. Breastfeeding and pregnancy and fasting. So when it comes to breastfeeding, a woman should decide for herself. Many women can fast whilst breastfeeding and pregnancy. Many women can't. So if you feel as though it's going to harm your the baby in your belly, it's going to harm the baby in your belly, or the milk is going to dry up, you won't be able to produce the milk as you would when you're not fasting, then you don't have to fast. You can make up the fasts after Ramadan. Does an ill person have to fast? If the illness is such that it's affected by not eating, then they don't have to fast and make up the fasts after Ramadan. Okay, what is fidya? So I told you what kafara was. Fidya, on the other hand, fidya is basically you give one, what you give in Sadaqat al-Fitr, right, for Eid, which is about 3 or 4 pounds. You give that for each fast. So who is this for? This is for that individual who the doctors have said they will not be able to fast for the rest of their life. Chronically ill person, like someone who's senile, very, very old, and their body can't take fasting anymore, or someone has long-term, diabetes, and they will definitely not be able to fast because they have to continuously consume food. This person can give fidya instead of making up the fasts, right? So they can't fast in Ramadan, they can't fast outside of Ramadan because of their medical issue, and they will never be able to fast until they die. This person, for every fast, so 30 days fast, they will have to give 3 or 4 pounds. Does kissing, and who do they give it to? It's given to the poor. Does kissing break fast? Kissing, if it's just like a peck, it doesn't break your fast. But if it's saliva, exchanging of saliva does break your fast. So if a person kisses their wife and exchanges, saliva from one to another, and they swallow it, that will break your fast. But otherwise, kissing on the cheek and kissing lips, etc., will not break the fast. Eating in Ramadan without fasting. So if a person eats in Ramadan but has no intention of fasting, like there might be, some people who just don't even bother about fasting, right? Every day they get up in Ramadan and just have breakfast and they have lunch. These people are sinful people if they have no excuse, sinful. And they have to make up those fasts, but there's no kafara because they didn't break a fast. If you didn't start a fast, you don't break a fast. But these people are people who had no intention of fasting from the start. May Allah save us from all that. Khalas. Okay, my presentation is done. Now, if there's any questions, Hafiz Abdul Hay, you can inshallah.
Okay, I think I'll just read some of them out, inshallah. I think some may have already been covered. But I think some people need some clarity on some of the things. So first and foremost, does the intention time also work for nafil fasts as well? Do the same rules apply?
Yeah, so intention time from Maghrib till midday applies to nafil fasts and Ramadan fasts. It does not apply to qada fasts. So fast of qada, you have to make the intention from Maghrib till Fajr.
Do you have to make up fasts if you have breastfed from one Ramadan to the next?
Yes. So according to the Hanafi madhab, if a woman has breastfed, then she doesn't have to fast, right? Because she finds it difficult to produce the milk, but she will have to make qada outside of Ramadan.
Okay. If a woman has fasted.
Now, for example, let's say she's breastfeeding for 2 whole years, then obviously you kind of let her decide when she wants to make it up. If she can make it up in that year, then she does. If she can't, she makes it up the year after. All right. So you've got basically until you die to make up your fasts. So, a woman can delay them.
If a woman has fasted for the full day and just 5 minutes prior to Maghrib, she comes on a period, does she need to make up this fast?
Yes. So the whole day from Fajr till Maghrib has to be free of any menstruation. Even if there's 1 minute or 30 seconds or 10 seconds of menstruation anywhere in the day, beginning, middle, or end, that fast will not be valid.
Okay, so if someone throughout their teenage years or whatever, they didn't do Ramadan properly, they didn't fast and so on, later in life, they realize and, the tawbah and whatnot, do they only do one kafara or?
So in that situation, what I would say is, look, this is my own personal view on this. I would say that if a person does not know exactly what they did, whether they broke the fast or whether they started the fast, first and foremost, I think they just contact a scholar, explain to a scholar their situation. The scholar will give them an accurate answer. Otherwise, the rule of the thumb is they should if they 100% know that they have broken a fast deliberately, then they should do one kafara, just one kafara. And from now on, if they do it again, then they'll have to do a kafara again.
Okay, does giving blood break fast?
Giving blood does not break a fast, because remember, the fast breaks when something goes in your body, not out your body.
Okay, someone with low blood pressure, low sugar, and migraine sufferers, are they exempt from fasting?
Again, what I would say is that this person speak to their doctor, because there might be some way of going around the fast with all these problems. Right? The doctor might provide them with some techniques or some medication they can use at nighttime that can stop them from having these symptoms in the daytime. Otherwise, if they find it very hard, again, they fall under ill people, and ill people can make up the fasts after Ramadan.
Can we make up fasts for those who have passed away who missed their fasts or broke
Those
their
who passed away. So according to Hanafi school, you can't do fasts for another person. Yeah, so fasting cannot be done on behalf of another person to fast. Rather, what you can do is, if that person who passed away left behind a will and said, please make up these fasts for me, you can pay fidya, so it's about £3 or £4 for each fast.
Okay, how about rinsing of the mouth without gargling?
Rinsing of the mouth is totally fine.
Is it something where out of doing it unnecessarily, would that be
No, it's totally fine. You can do it as many times in the day as you like.
Do you have to fast if you're traveling abroad for less than 2 weeks? Let's say 10 days, for example, in a hot climate. Do you still have to?
If you're fasting abroad, if you're fasting and traveling as well, then as long as you're a traveler, and the definition of being a traveler is that you travel a distance of more than 48 miles and do not stay in a location for more than 15 days or more. So let's say, for example, I travel to, I don't know, Argentina, and I'm going to stay there for 12 days in one place, in my uncle's house. Then I do not have to fast Ramadan. Ideally, I should fast, but I do not have to. But if I stay in my uncle's house for continuous 15 days or more, then I will have to fast because I'm no longer a traveler for that duration of time.
Okay, so for everyone watching as well, there's a lot of questions coming through, so I'm just trying my best to get through all of them. If I do miss yours out, let me just get through the list, inshallah, and then Mufti Sahib can check your chat and then respond accordingly, inshallah. Someone reads the translation of the Quran during Taraweeh, or even, let's say, the Arabic, we can add that in there as well, whilst they're praying behind the Imam. Is that allowed?
So according to the Hanafi school, it's not allowed. Yeah, the person behind the Imam is not allowed to basically have in their hand any mushaf or any Quran or anything like that to read from.
Okay. What about a patients on dialysis?
A person who's on dialysis, whether they need to fast or is it whether their fast is done?
Whether they need to fast or is it would it break their fast?
Again, I mean, I have never had dialysis, but I know people who have. They've said it weakens your body a lot. So if that is the case, then again, they'll be exempted and can make up their fast after Ramadan if they can.
Okay. Okay, someone's taking a bath and they want to clean the rectum with soap. Would that break their fast?
No, I mean, when we talk about a person using medication in the rectum, it's talking about inserting it quite deep in. Yeah, so I mean, generally, I mean, a person wouldn't insert their finger in their rectum that deep.
Yeah, the list of questions that I have, they've all been answered. There's one more in terms of your skincare. Someone asking, mashallah, your skincare is very good. Your skin looks very nice. So asking for advice on that. But yeah, you can see the other questions as well. That was the final one. If you want to answer that.
Was that? It's actually the camera. There's a setting in the camera that you can make it. You can make it look like that. So I think that setting is on.
Filters you. Okay, so I think the rest of the questions you can so we can check the chat, whichever ones you want to answer from there. Some
Okay.
of them
Okay.
So those of you who need to ask, you can ask the questions again. So it pops
Okay.
up.
What about bleeding another outside menstruation? What about bleeding another outside? I don't understand that. Please know what to do for getting the amount of misra fasts due to illness, period, breastfeeding. So what I would say in that situation is roughly estimate how much you think, and then just add a few more fasts on top of that, and then inshallah, that will be fine. What should a woman do if she has never made up for the fasts missed due to menstruation? She can inshallah make them up. You have all the way until death, inshallah. Make dua, Allah gives you long life. Doctor or nurses involved in critical procedures. I don't know, is that a question or is that a comment? When doing wudu, you're taking water in the nose. Does that break fast? If it goes down, you can feel it when it goes down. If it goes down the back of your throat, it breaks your fast. Otherwise, it doesn't. When doing wudu, you're taking water. No. Yeah, I think these are done. I'm on 2 injections each week for autoimmune disease. The hospital monitors the kidney, full liver. Yeah, so I mean, in your kind of situation, I don't want to read all of it because it's going to take a long time. But generally, you make a decision. If you feel as though this is something which is going to be too difficult for you to fast, you don't have to fast. Yeah, if you're going to feel that it's difficult for you to fast because of your autoimmune illness and medication that you take, then you don't have to fast. You can make up your fast outside Ramadan. Okay, that's it.
Okay, Jazakallah khair for that. If anyone does have further questions, feel free to email us, inshallah, info@QuranicInsights.com. Inshallah, we'll try our best to have those questions answered. If anyone wants to share their notes that they've put together, feel free to email that as well. What we can do, I can collate all the information along with the answers of common questions that people ask, and inshallah, hopefully, we can email that out as well. Of course, it's too much to cover, and there'll be a lot of questions that we'll have which we can't cover in the session. Regarding zakat as well, inshallah, I want to share something regarding that as well. But yeah, feel free to email us. Those of you who haven't registered to receive the recording, it's registered on the website, inshallah. As soon as the recording is ready, it will be emailed out to everyone, inshallah. So Jazakallah khair once again for your time. You've had a very busy day, mashallah. And once again, anyone who's interested in further study and more advanced studies as well in various, in terms of the Arabic language, fiqh, and so on, visit Mufti Liaquat's website, uruq.com. I'll just put that on the chat. Check out the website, inshallah, and register for the courses. Mustafa, if you want to speak a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel which has videos on there to help people to learn how to read the Quran, to learn the Arabic language, learning fiqh, hadith, and many other sciences as well. And they're all free of charge. So you can check that all out if you like. It's Roots of Knowledge. And I also have a website where I have paid courses on there. So if anyone's interested in studying maybe Hidayah or maybe studying some other subjects as well, you can find lessons on there as well, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
So once again, the YouTube page is Roots of Knowledge. If you search that up, inshallah, you will see the videos on there. So Jazakallah khair once again. Just a few announcements, inshallah. Firstly, some of you may be aware that Quranic Insights is an official partner with Global Relief Trust, GRT, alhamdulillah, and time of Ramadan is coming. So inshallah, rather than just donating, we can have a larger impact regarding spreading the khair, inshallah. So what we've done this Ramadan, alhamdulillah, thanks to our sponsors, if anyone is willing to fundraise for our humanitarian projects, inshallah, further details can be given. And there's an opportunity also to win an Umrah as well. So people who fundraise for the humanitarian causes, inshallah, they will possibly win a free trip to Umrah, as you can see on the screen there. Feel free to contact that number, inshallah, with Umrah giveaway, inshallah, then we can sign you up. If a sister wins it, then 2 tickets will be allocated, inshallah, and the winner will be announced, as you can see on eBay, inshallah. That's the first thing. You can also directly register there. You can see the admin has posted the registration. Secondly, it's going to be our 5th year running now. Alhamdulillah, we do the virtual virtual Quran Khatam. So we go through one juz each day, where a teacher will lead the session, and those of you who can recite at a decent level can also recite live as well. So there's various timings available, as you can see: 11 a.m. in the morning, 2 p.m., 9 p.m. So alhamdulillah, we've had almost around 500 people sign up already. So if you want to join that session, you can do it as well. You don't necessarily have to read live. If you're not comfortable doing so, just follow along with whoever is reciting. So take the opportunity, inshallah. Encourages and motivates and helps people to do a full khatam of Quran. In our previous years, we have had so many people who had never finished a full completion of the Quran, so this is a great opportunity for us to do that, inshallah. And finally, there was going to be an event, but we just finalizing on the dates. But another thing, zakat, someone mentioned, with our partner, official charity partner, Global Relief Trust, what we're doing this year is we are, zakat is something which I always receive questions every year, and a lot of people have a deep misunderstanding of what zakat is and how it should be paid, what needs to be paid, and so on. So it's very important for us to educate ourselves So with our charity partner, Global Relief Trust, what we're doing is that we are offering one-to-one consultation as well. If you're unsure about something, you can speak to one of our scholars on the board. You email them, inshallah, and they will then, arrange a meeting with yourselves to figure out your finances, to see how much zakat you need to pay as well. So there's also another link. The admin can post that. If you go onto that website, inshallah, you can then arrange for the consultation, and they will go through with yourselves in terms of your savings, your assets, and so on, what needs to be paid if you do need to pay any zakat, and so on. So they'll help you calculate your zakat, so you have a clear understanding of how that works, inshallah. So I'm just waiting on that link. There you go. So click on that link, inshallah. Just go through the page and you'll see that you can email GRT, and one of our scholars, inshallah, will get back to you to help you with that. And Jazakallah khair, once again, alhamdulillah, for attending this webinar, inshallah. As I mentioned earlier, the recordings will be sent, hopefully within a couple of days or so, but you have to have registered for that. So to register for that, inshallah, and you will receive the recording. If anyone wants to share their notes as well that they would like to share with everybody else, you can send that over to our email, info@QuranicInsights.com, and we can collate that information, add a few more things as well, FAQs, and inshallah we can send that out to everyone. Regarding this, inshallah, this was scheduled, as you can see on the poster here, but the dates may change. That's why I didn't really mention that right now. So apologies for that. But we may have this program. That program is going to be more about how sisters especially can benefit from the days of Ramadan where they can't fast or pray, how to maximize on that more on a spiritual level, inshallah. But inshallah, that will be released in the coming days once we finalize the exact timings and the days. So with that said, subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.